Welcome to the Therapy Show podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Mustard. In each episode, I interview a seasoned and knowledgeable talk therapist from the counseling world to glean valuable insights, techniques, and tools that you can apply to your practice and your life. And if you're considering a career in the counseling field or just want to hear about what it's like to be a talk therapist, then this is the podcast for you. I'm just going to come right on out and say it. Work-life balance for moms, or really for anybody, is a myth. It's a myth. It's a lie. Yet, so many people, and I'm including myself over here, want it. We see social media posts about it. We talk to our friends about it. How do they do it? We ask our colleagues how they manage it. But I want to be honest with you. And after years and years of searching and trying to find the whole work-life balance thing, it's just not possible to obtain complete balance every day because you never know what is going to be tossed your way, right? And you have to put aside whatever you're doing and handle it, which is the joy of being an adult, right? I say that jokingly, but I want to share, I have found the real secret to finding balance. And you may or may not agree with me, and that's okay. But it's more about values and priorities than maintaining balance. Yes, values. And over the years of working with hundreds of people, the idea that values is more important than the work-life balance idea is one that blows their minds. And I would ask people, like, what do you stand for? What do you hold near and dear to your heart? What do you believe in? What is most important in your life? And after talking with hundreds of people and myself, going through this myself, these can be really tough questions to answer. I had no clue what my values and priorities were until I did a deep dive into them in my early 40s. And once I understood what was most important to me and what I stood for, I began to make changes around my work and life. So since then, decision making has been easier. Time management has become a breeze. Okay, well, not necessarily every single day, but you get my drift. Self-care comes easier. And my relationships are stronger and healthier. And so my question is, would you like these things too? So if you're nodding your head and saying yes under your breath, then think about these questions. What's important to you? What do you hold near and dear to your heart? What ideas get you excited? If time and money were of no issues to you, how would you spend your day? What do you yearn for when you consider your future? What brings you joy? And where do you find your energy? So maybe hit pause and go back on your podcast player, maybe 30 seconds to really listen to those and take some time and think about these questions, maybe even grab a journal and start answering them. And most importantly, don't judge what comes up. And whatever you do, do not Google list of values because values aren't meant to be chosen like menu items, okay? I know it's tempting, and I mean, I've done it, but try not to do it. I really want you to do this with like a blank slate, whatever comes first to your mind and to your heart as you're answering these questions. And here's the key, because once you know your values and highest priorities, you can then start making a plan for how you are going to spend your time, where you're going to put your energy, and start setting up those boundaries so you aren't pulled in a million different directions. So do you see how this is leading to that quote unquote work-life balance? And I'm going to just share with you guys that this is what we do in the Midlife Magic for Moms group, because I want to help you achieve this and much, much more. And if you want to join the Midlife Magic for Moms group, just look for the link in the show notes, okay? Because once we know our values and priorities, which it's not an easy task to do, especially if you've never really thought about it, or maybe you aren't raised with the values that, have shifted for you as you have grown and gotten to your career and gotten to, your parenting. It changes because we evolve as humans, which would make sense. So other important things that are going to help you identify your values, there's some other steps that you can take. So I know I've already said, reflect on what's most important to you. Another thing to do is to consider your past experiences. So think about moments in your life that have been the most meaningful or memorable for you. And what were the values that were present in those experiences? For example, if you felt a strong connection with others while volunteering, community or connection might be a value for you. Also, pay attention to your emotions because your emotions can be a clue to your values. What makes you feel happy, fulfilled, or proud? What makes you feel angry or frustrated? Because your emotional reactions can help you identify what matters most to you. And sometimes, if you find yourself feeling angry or frustrated, it's not that that value isn't important to you. It's that you need to explore those feelings to find out what's going on underneath. Why are you reacting that way to something that just happened? Maybe you're reacting in anger or frustration because there's incongruency in what you value or what you want and what is actually, the behavior or the thoughts that are showing up for you. Also, clarify your priorities. I mean, I know I said this earlier, but think about how you spend your time and energy. What do you prioritize in your life? What do you make time for, even when you're busy? Because this can give you insight into what you value most. Now, I want you to write it all down. Once you have a sense of your values, write them down because seeing them in black and white can help you clarify and solidify them in your mind. Now, I know I already said this, but identifying your values is an ongoing process because your values may change over time as you grow and evolve. So it's important to regularly reflect on what matters most to you. If you're having a really hard time identifying your values, I understand because when I first did this exercise, I didn't know what to say. And so my coach took me through, a bunch of different questions to help me figure out what and where my values lie. And now I'm going to be 50 next month. Like saying that is just like, it blows my mind. But so now that I'm going to be 50, my values at 40 are pretty much the same as they were at 50. They have shifted a little bit because my family has shifted a little bit. I've shifted a little bit in my work. I've shifted a little bit in the things that I do now that I did 10 years ago when my kids were younger. But the ones that come to mind for me, so my number one highest priority is family first or family focus. And then from there, everything kind of just like changes in terms of what lies in the priority list. I still have the same values, but depending on what's going on in our family unit, those values take a different level of priority. I hope that makes sense. But I really want to encourage you to consider your values, really do a deep dive on what they are. Stop trying to get this whole work-life balance thing. You can have all the calendars, you can have all the to-do lists, you can have all the schedules, but if it's not like something that is, if those things you have on the to-do list are just things to fill your time or fill your day and they don't, you don't feel lit up by them, you don't feel in alignment, then I really want to encourage you to take a look at how you're spending your time and where you're putting your energy, because you might have things on that list for whatever reason to maybe, I don't know why you would have those things on the list if they don't light you up. But I will share that when you figure out your highest values and priorities and you make an action plan to live them out consistently, congruently, and authentically, these things just become so much easier for you. And once again, if you want some help with this, come join our Midlife Magic for Mom group. It's free right now. You can just click on the link in the show notes, and I hope to see you guys there. It's important to stress that these episodes are not meant to take the place of any work you're doing with your therapist or doctor. In fact, please run these ideas by your counselor or doctor before you act on them to make sure you are ready for them or even a fit for the suggestions. I can't stress this enough. Each person is unique and their situation is unique, so please talk to your doctor before starting anything new I might be suggesting. And the Therapy Show with Lisa Mustard and the information provided by me is solely intended for informational and educational purposes and is not a substitute for advice, diagnosis, or treatment regarding medical or mental health conditions. Although I am a licensed marriage and family therapist, the views expressed on the site or any related content or podcast episode should not be taken for medical or psychiatric advice. Always consult your physician before making any decisions related to your physical or mental health. Well, that wraps up another episode of the Therapy Show with Lisa Mustard. I know there are hundreds of thousands of podcasts out there, and I'm thankful you've chosen to listen to mine.
Be sure to visit lisamustard.com to access the show notes and discover more fantastic content.
And I'd be grateful if you subscribe to the show. Thank you.